Okay.
All this here,
Well,
connecting to the streaming. Bear with me. And we are here. Yes, we make it.
we made
All
it.
right.
Hooray!
We are here with the bottom media.
Just grabbing all my stuff I've got prepared for us to share.
Give
There it
me a
is.
second. Let me put some audio.
How's my audio?
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, but I am hearing like an echo. So give me a second. It's good. Yeah. Let me stop this here. Yeah. So let me start with a little bit of combat. Okay. So just regulate the mind and everybody that is in this moment, take a little breath. That's a way to synchronize our mind with our heart and our gut, our three minds, grounding ourselves or receiving our heart that is already within us. Just receiving. And here we are with Alexander Hall, with my friend Ninja, and we're creating this space because it's well needed to talk about alternative medicine.
You broke up there. Sorry. Did you ask me
Can
a
you hear me?
question? I can hear you. It got a little garbled, but now I can hear you.
Can you hear me well? Okay.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. I'm Alex Howe. They call me Bush Ninja. I've been friends with Evelyn for a little while, and I just love everything that she does for her community. And I'm very grateful to be on your little show here and to share some of my work and passion with bringing medicines from where I've traveled for a long time, which is Southern Africa, and
Yeah.
helping to share them with the world because they're really every human's medicines. We all come from there originally, and so there's number of things that we could talk about in for many hours, but I think we're really excited to talk about one thing in particular, right, Evelyn?
Yeah, Mama Kana. Mama
Mama
Kana.
Kanna.
So,
Yeah.
can you tell me what is Mama Kana and how is from which plant is originated, and if you can show to the audience how the plant looks so they can connect. So when I
Yeah,
connect with the medicine, I connect with the plant, with the texture, with how it looks, the plant, the vibrancy of the plant, because everything is frequency, everything is vibrating, and when you meet a person, you meet a face, right? And you feel the vibration and the energy of that happens with the plants too. You connect with the plant not only when you consume the plant, but when you are able to connect with the plant and see it and see the vibrancy of the plant.
that's right. I agree. And sometimes, because I'm an herbalist by trade and I've been working with plant medicines for over 18 years now, really it was the birth of my niece that inspired my passion for herbalism. And then I went to Africa to walk the land and learn from the people there. And I always tell people who struggle learning plants because they're often learning from books or online. It's like, I wouldn't introduce a person to you by showing you their yearbook. And that's how people are like, oh, I don't retain it. And so I like to take people into nature and like actually introduce them to my friends, which are happen to be plants. But of course, we're using technology to broadcast it around the world. And funny enough, much of my pictures and things are on my phone, but I do have some beautiful herbalism books that are excellent primary sources. This is one of my favorite ones from South Africa. This is pronounced felt. The V is said like an F and the D is said like a T. It means field medicine of the Klein Karoo, the little karoo. And this is the plant we're talking about today. This is Kanna. And
Oh,
so
beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? And so
Yeah.
it's got a happy little flower, and it's a succulent, and it's got a few common names. In fact, the indigenous name is Kanna, one of its most like globally known names, but it has a few other names. The Afrikaans name is Koichut, which means stuff that is chewed, and so that tells you a little bit about how it was traditionally used, and it was traditionally prepared. And here's an up close picture of the flower. It's just I call it the happy little flower,
The
and I've
happy
got
little flower.
yeah, and so somehow, for some reason, our ancestors, all of our collective blood lineage ancestors, way long ago when humanity was first coming out of Africa, they thought that this would be something to chew on. And I'm sure they were trying everything that was all around them. And they chewed on this plant, and it had a number of surprising properties as beautiful medicine. And it's here it actually talks about, I love this particular, I've used the book so much that the page came out, but I just keep it in the book. It talks about some of the uses that were traditional that you won't find online a lot, and so that's why I love a good primary source like this local herbalism book, because it'll talk about its most more commonly known effect, which is a antidepressant, which is huge in today's day and age, and its
Yeah.
anti-addictive properties, which traditionally was used for alcoholism, as many indigenous peoples were subjugated using alcohol through colonialism, and so it became known as a beneficial medicine to help remove, I say, remove the hooks of the addiction, because you're not it's retaining your serotonin, and we'll talk more about how that works, but because it's retaining it, you don't need to chase after it so much,
Yeah.
because it's actually fulfilling you without making you feel sick or anything like this, like some of the other anti-addiction medications do. But one of the things I love about this, I'll just read a short passage. The indigenous people made an infusion which was taken to relieve hunger, thirst, and pain. It was used for toothache, stomach ache, and insomnia, and it was used in small quantities for colic in infants, added to a little breast milk. And so I love this particular passage of this historical use, because you don't see that online, but it speaks to its safety. And so this has an
There is
ancient
no
history.
secondary effects. Everything I
Right,
always say to people, everything created by the man is out of control because there are secondary effects, because there is a process of discovering how things work. And we
right.
are in the process. But nature is already having that homeostasis and it's created calibrated for our body. So
That's right. And so, yeah, there aren't any side effects. There are only effects. And there are effects. And when we do this thing where we take plants and we use modern science and we make like the extracts out of them, then we've played with nature. And so if you chew on this, there is no potential for really any contraindications in any way. If you take a lot of the extract, which is a non-natural form, and it is very helpful to have it in this form. We use science to make it. Of course, you can take a lot more extract than a human could ever chew of a plant. So it's kind of like how essential oils can also potentially be harmful because they're so concentrated. Look at oregano oil; it can burn you. You know,
yeah.
you can eat a lot of oregano oil. So that is absolutely true. And I would say that there aren't side effects; there are just effects. But some of the effects can be concentrated. And then I really love this other book I have. Let's see if I can flip to the page because I didn't have it marked handy.
But
Um, Here it
talking
is.
about the dopamine, Alexander, dopamine is what people are seeking and craving for because it's
Yes,
feeling good. I
right.
feel good and I feel elevated and worthy, and that is connected with your self worthy. So you are seeking outside to complement what you are lacking inside in your mind because you're already complete. So we are going
Right.
to the energetic part of that. So the dopamine, not only in alcohol, but there are people that search dopamine in working out in the gym or
Definitely.
eating sweets or eating food or buying things or having crazy craving for sex because
Right.
they need that dopamine.
Right.
So Mama Kanna is retaining that dopamine and is helping us to keep it in for more natural state, our own dopamine that we produce.
Right, and it is dopamine, but it's also most known for serotonin, and they're both the happy compounds. But calling it just serotonin isn't fully accurate. You're correct. It is also affecting dopamine and norepinephrine and
Yes.
certain liver pathways that can have cognitive enhancing abilities. And so this is the product that I've made out of the extract is called Mama Kana,
Mama
as you
Kanna.
can see here. And so the thing is a lot of people aren't going to chew on plants nowadays. That's just less common, and also you can take the extract and have it in a few ways. But when you extract it, it is fairly bitter. And I do have the extract in various forms. I actually just sell it in single half-gram vials like this, and it is actually one of the more niche markets, but very helpful. Is that you can sniff this, and people who have addiction to other things that they're sniffing have used this as a replacement therapy that's completely legal and quite safe. But because it pulls the hook out of the other thing they're addicted to, I've heard secondhand miraculous stories. In fact,
Mhm.
three personal friends of mine. The last one, most recently, was just 2 weeks ago, just before Christmas, and he messaged me and he told me he lives in Europe, and he started working with Kanna extract that I had provided for him, and he was able to kick an amphetamine addiction after 3 weeks of using it as a replacement
Yeah.
therapy, and said it changed his life because he was chasing that dopamine and serotonin, and he had the addiction, but he was able to use this as a replacement therapy. So that's a really beautiful niche for people who have that.
Also for people, there are people that they want to change their life,
Right,
but it's not only the mind. Your body in the chemistry of the body is dependent of that
right,
substance, and you cannot withdraw right away because
right.
then you have the rebound effect. But with the
Yeah,
Mama Kanna, it helps you to that transition when you are reconquering your freedom.
that's
and
right.
and that's why the medicine, the ancient medicine and herbalism is something that we are coming back. We are coming back to our roots because that's where the medicine that is for our body, that is calibrated for our body. And
That's right. And it's everybody's medicine. So there are beautiful medicines from all around the world that, we've gotten more and more knowledge about, even like Ayurveda from India and traditional Chinese medicine and medicine from South America. And I've learned and worked with many and many of these medicines, but I don't have blood lineage ancestry to those people. And so I'm very careful not to colonize those medicines as a white man, essentially.
even other alternative that is not replacing the dopamine, but is like trying to replace the consumption of alcohol, like kava or kratom, don't
Right. And
resolve. It helps, right? But it
right.
don't resolve the end problem. The root cause is that craving of dopamine.
Yes, and but it's also the ritual too. So why do people go to a kava bar? Why do people go to bars? So they're looking for the social scene and the ritual of having the space and the container. Or for some friends, for example, who choose to sniff things, it's like the ritual of doing it. It's the smoke break. And so when people in today's corporate world, they can't like go outside and breathe for 5 minutes, but they can go out and have a cigarette for 5 minutes. And
It's a big
so,
contradiction.
yeah, isn't it sad that they can't just be like, "Hey, I need to go have a breath break or a sound break," but it's okay to have an addiction to go outside and have a smoke break. And so I know people who have started smoking like they were working in a kitchen in a restaurant, and the only way they could get a break was if it was a smoke break. And so they actually picked up the addiction this way, which is sad. And so we do have an herbal smoking blend because Kanna can be smoked as well, and that's nice because it's a replacement therapy. So you're still doing the ritual, or in this case, you can make a new ritual. So with this honey elixir, it's very beautiful because it tastes nice, and then you can just like sit with it for a moment, and instead of just take the time and the space to make your own little ritual, and realize that this plant is one of the oldest human used plants in the entire world. here's the page from the other book, and it's got a great picture of the plant, but I love the title, Chewing on Happiness. And in
Chewing
fact,
on happiness.
chewing on
Kanna.
happiness.
Kanna is chewing on
Yeah.
happiness.
And I've got all of these pages on my website and Instagram for folks who want to see. It's mamakanna.com and mama.kanna on Instagram.
Let me type it so people can find it. So it's
Yeah.
kanna.com.
And it's three M's, MAMMA. And I went with this because I wanted it to, one, be respectful to Mama Africa, who's all of our mamas. Like, that's what I was going, is that we all come from there. Every single one of us has human blood lineage that co-evolved
Yeah.
alongside this plant for hundreds of thousands of years. This is potentially the one of the oldest mind mood altering plants in the world. And the beautiful thing about it is that it was the original dancing medicine. And so we know that dancing and singing is
Yeah.
actually the oldest healing medicine and
Yeah.
connecting to the people.
Dancing and singing create vibration. And
Right.
what
Clapping,
people,
snapping.
why, any animal, the more vulnerable side is their belly. And in this area here, in the solar plexus energetically, is your self-worth, is your self-identity, is your willpower. And we are lagging in that power because
Hmm.
we are leaning in others to resolve our health. So when we take ownership of our health and we practice preventive health and we take ownership and driving our life, is when we are empowering ourselves. And
That's
that's
right.
why I am like a promoter of all the kind of medicine that I can share online, because it's bringing awareness, a call to everyone to take ownership of your life and know that there is a solution. And the solution, one of the solutions, because there are many solutions, right? There are many paths to run, but everything coming together, the energy work, the inner work with yourself, and the medicine will help you to transform your life. So Mama Kanna, you guys can come to mamakanna.com. You can contact the Bosch Ninja, Alexander Howard, my friend or my gang. Two Scorpios here.
Yeah. Have that deep medicine.
Yes. And I am excited because I have seen how much addiction destroy families,
Yeah.
how much addiction destroy people itself in all
Right.
the potential that they can bring to this reality. And it's very sad. It's very
Right.
sad to see a life expire based on addiction, because it's like a loop. When you drink more alcohol, you end up in more depression, because alcohol is a depressant.
Right. And you
Increasing.
want more alcohol. You have to chase
Yeah,
the dragon, they say. And
yeah,
so as you become addicted, you release less serotonin and dopamine per dose. So you have to chase it to get more. So the beauty of this medicine is that it works for any kind of addiction. Of course, you still have to want it. That's the first thing. You got to want to stop. You have to recognize and admit to yourself that you need to shift. And then this is your ally. It's not going to fix you. You're going to fix you with the work that you do. But this is your ally. And then as you take this medicine, the nice thing is you don't have to necessarily stop drinking cold turkey, for example. It will help you to be like, oh, I've had enough now. And I don't need to chase it any farther. And that could be for any kind of addiction, because it's the root of the addiction is the neurochemistry that causes the chemical, addiction to it in your brain. And
yeah.
so,
People are very, they say, oh, alcoholism is an addiction, but you're not aware that you can be also addicted to a person, that you be
right,
codependent to a person, and you are depending on the chemistry that you feel for that person to be happy. Or
that's right,
you are addicted to work, or you are addicted to buy things, to feel good when you buy things and then you
that's
don't
right,
need it, or
that's right.
eating things. So there are different kind of addictions.
That's right. That's a very good point. And so, yeah, Kanna has really three primary things that it's really going to help this world with, and it's really important to me to like be able to offer this medicine, which is literally one of the oldest medicines in the world, to the world today who's forgotten about it. And the first, like we were talking about, is the addiction, and as a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's also helpful for anxiety and depression, which that's like those two things are like much of the country, half I think or something like
Yeah.
this of the country's on antidepressants. Now, unlike the chemical pills with the side effects, you can use Mama Kanna and other Kanna forms as needed, and it won't give you like a zombie effect. You don't have to wean on it and wean off of it like other SSRI pills. So it's not like the pills, but it's a similar kind of action. I keep it in my emotional first aid kit, and so we just came through the holidays, which for some people can be challenging. And so when
Yeah.
I have a challenging time in the moment, I can take this, and it won't make me high. It doesn't. It's not making you high. If you take it cumulatively, you can get an uplifted euphoria as it retains your own natural serotonin. You're getting high on
Mhm.
your own supply, as it were,
Yeah.
but it will help shift your headspace and not be in the down in the doldrums or the blues, as I
Something I
like.
wanted to say is that the serotonin that is produced in your gut, the 95% of serotonin, is used for generating melatonin in your brain. So
That's right.
serotonin, the health of your gut, affect your sleep, your circadian rhythm. Because
That's
the
right.
melatonin helps to sleep and cortisol will wake you up in the morning. So that's why it helps for sleep. And I
That's
wanted to
right.
ask you because you know the teenagers, the childrens nowadays, we have a young generation that is very stressed. It's very stimulative with so much technology and the rhythm of life, and they are suffering from anxiety in
That's right.
early years.
And screen addiction. I mean, the dopamine from the screen is
Yeah.
real, and
Like
so
me and follow me. So I
yeah.
generate dopamine. That's another addiction. Like me and
Right.
follow me.
Oh yeah. Oh man. When I make a post, it's true. I'm like, oh, someone likes me. It's so validating.
I follow
yeah.
myself. I like me.
Same. I mean, and it's valid. It's just you don't have. It's the hook. It's like I can get my dopamine out of it, but like I don't need to, for example, pay someone to get me likes. I had a scam artist message me last week, and he's like, "Oh, you could pay me, and I'll get you more likes." I'm like, I like my dopamine organic. Thank you.
I like my dopamine organic. I like
I'm
that.
like literally paying you for nothing that doesn't pay me anything. It's not like I need more likes. It's just literally dopamine hits, and I'm like, nah, I'm okay. But just to circle back, we've got anti-addiction, antidepressant, and those are the two really powerful medicine properties. But if that weren't enough, it has a recreational dose. And it's in the realm of the sober party, like with cacao. So it's still like fine to take it like at an ecstatic dance or in public or anytime that you're going out and having fun. Or maybe someone once asked me if there was a party she didn't really want to go to that she had to go to, would it
Oh,
help her have more fun? And I was like, yeah, actually, it probably will. It's interesting because it pairs with the activity. It's not really making you high like other things like alcohol or THC make you high.
or
It's
impaired.
it's
Impaired.
it's
Yeah.
exactly. And so some of my most euphoric experiences were doing things that caused my brain to release a lot of serotonin and dopamine. Teaching about it is something I always enjoy, and I usually am sharing it as I'm teaching about it. But one time I was singing karaoke, and I got so high on karaoke because I'm up on stage, I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I'm dopamine and serotonin and adrenaline. I'm singing, mediocrely well, and I came off the stage, and I was feeling highly elevated because I had been dosing it consistently. And then, like, from the beginning of the night when we got there, and through every like half hour, 45 minutes, like I tell people, you don't get drunk on one beer. So this is gentle. It's not going to like knock your socks off. And if it was even as strong as cannabis, you would have heard about it already long ago. It's not that strong. It's just a natural plant, and cannabis is a natural plant too, but we've bred it to be really strong. Um, and so it's neat because it's almost adaptogenic in so much that if you start working with this at the beginning of a night and you enjoy it, throughout the evening, it'll cumulatively retain your serotonin, giving you that upliftment. I call it a gentle but genuine euphoria, and that will be energizing. But if you wait until the end of the night and you've had a long day and you've done your whole evening, and it might be a day of work, it doesn't have to be a celebration, and you take it at the end, it's going to retain where you're depleted and help with that, and calm the mind and
So
help
before going to
relax.
sleep, it can be used for grounding and
Exactly.
cooling down.
And so it really can ground and calm. And every brain is different. So that's very important. As I've been sharing it now for some years, I've learned that some people have, a spectrum of reaction to this natural plant. And one of the things that's really interesting is ADHD brains seem to help find focus. It can, instead of like energizing them, it's kind of like how other stimulants help them to focus. And so this can really help people in with those neurodiversities
Yeah.
to focus and find it having cognitive benefits as well, which is really
So
fast.
how many drugs a person can take at the beginning?
So I when I made this, I there's a
Can you bring
dose.
more closer to the camera?
Sure.
Yeah.
And Mama Kanna, the Latin name there is sceletium tortuosum, which is not a great marketing name, but it sceletium because when it dries, the leaves turn skeletal. And then I've got dosage instructions here, and so you can see there's a tonic dosing and a recreational dosing. So one full squirt, one full pipette full is one dose, and so you can just squeeze this. This one's sealed, and I've got my phone in
Mm-hmm.
my hand. But you just squeeze the whole thing, and that's one dose. Now there's a dose range with all things, and I made this to be gentle. It's not supposed to. It's safe for moms and kids, and if your kid's acting out, like I'm not making any recommendations, of course, to anybody, but this has an ancient history of use of being safe for children, and so it can help stabilize moods in general,
Yes.
and so
Especially
one,
for teenagers that they are having like a big rush of hormones
yeah,
and big switch of moves and they don't understand themselves and all that growing is
right.
like the revolution now.
Totally. That's a great example. And so one squirt is one dose, but it's on the low end of the dose range. So you can actually take two squirts, and that can still be one dose if you want that higher range. Kind of like how people who take an aspirin might take one or two aspirins, and it's still really one dose. It's just a dose range. And so that's one dose, one or two squirts, and you can hold it under your tongue for as long. I say savor it. I made this. This is different from all the other products because it tastes good, and a
It's
lot of them
under the
don't.
tongue, so you put it
You can
under
hold
the
it under your tongue. I tell people just savor it for as long as you like. 5 minutes, it'll dissolve and melt away. It's not the biggest concern in any way. You can swallow it also. It's actually quite nice on the throat sometimes because it's honey. It's also local raw honey from here in Florida, not far from where we live. I also have a tiny bottle that's like a sample size, and these ones are much smaller. And this is enough for one recreational experience. So you would consume this entire bottle in a day, in an evening, or throughout your experience that you're trying to get a euphoric experience out of. Or it's about a week's worth of like tonic antidepressant dosing, depending on how much you use, a couple days at least. And so yeah, that's how you work with it. You can't really overdo it. I wouldn't recommend drinking the whole bottle at once. That might be too much. But no, there's no harm to be had. You might get a tummy ache. Now, there is one important warning on the label that I do put on there, which is not to mix it with antidepressants
mm.
because it's an herbal antidepressant. And not that I'm really concerned because I have heard lots of stories of people working with them together. There's just not much science on it about how they interact. And so, just to be extra careful, we don't recommend that anybody mix plants and pills that have similar effects. And
Yeah.
obviously, talk to your doctor. They might not have ever heard about it. Feel free to contact me. I've got lots of really good peer reviewed science that supports the traditional literature I also carry.
Yeah, and maybe eventually this would be more sharing with everyone because this is a medicine that is needed.
It's everyone's medicine. And
Yeah.
the last thing I want to really impress is that this is human medicine, but there are people who carried this medicine through time. and those are the indigenous people of southern Africa. The San and the Khoikhoi, collectively the Khoisan people. That they are the people who still live to this day in the arid zones of southern Africa in the Kalahari Desert, and they're woefully underrepresented in southern Africa. South Africa has 11 official languages, and their language is not one of the official languages, and they're downtrodden, similar to how the indigenous people here in North America and all over are downtrodden, and they get even kind of less press, for lack of a better word. So knowing and recognizing that we would not have this medicine without them, 11% of my profits goes directly to indigenous rights activism and education projects in southern Africa. And because I've lived and traveled there for so long, 7 years, boots on the
Yeah.
ground, I know these people. I know exactly where the money's going. I don't like micromanage their spending of it, but I get an accounting back from it. And we're funding currently three incredible projects. One is a language saving project that is recording the elders, the old gogos, the grandmothers, and the grandfathers, and they're making as much record as they can because they're losing the native tongue speakers.
That would be interesting to keep the primordial tones that are medicine.
That's right. And the other cool thing is not only are they recording it, they've made flashcards and posters for the school children so that they can pass it on. And in fact, due to our donations, they were able to do the whole print run that is amazing. I'm excited to go get some flashcards. I said, keep me a few boxes of flashcards. I want them. And I was
Maybe
able
one
to.
day I will join to you with you to go to
Yeah,
Africa.
we can have it. That'll be wonderful. And then another project is the Bushman's Song, which is a prayer walk where these men and women, but mostly it's a masculine led walk that they wear full regalia and they walk from school to school and community to community, teaching about the indigenous culture and the skills that they're working on. And then the last one is the San Cultural Festival, which is only in its second year, and it wouldn't have happened honestly if we weren't able to give the small pittance, really, compared to global business money. I'm just me doing my small business, and the festival was able to happen for these people this year, and that's not bragging, but it's literally just giving it back to the people who we are benefiting from their indigenous knowledge.
All that wisdom that we are benefiting, and we need to honor that
That's
medicine.
because I don't believe that some white colonizer would have ever chewed on that on purpose. He's like, oh, let me pick up that skeletalized,
Yeah.
succulent and chewed on it. But these people did and danced. They
Yeah.
danced and danced and they
Well,
chewed.
I feel that the new era of Aquario is going towards the union and the forgiving and the medicine entering in the heart and releasing all the stories. So in
That's
that
right.
way we can come together. And I wanted to share because bringing some elements of so the magic of the other dimensions. I was using the Air Magic Oracle today, and I picked out three cards. And the first card is purification.
Mm,
Purification. So using the plant medicine to purify yourself and to bring the vibration of yourself to your natural state, to the state that we came here when we're babies, and with our original blueprint and harmony. So finding that harmony, that balance, that homeostasis inside yourself, not depending on the outside medicine, but generating your own medicine. You produce your happy chemicals. You
that's right.
produce your dopamine, you produce your serotonin, your endorphins, your oxytocin, and you have the right to know that you have ownership of that. You have ownership of your life and unfoldment, because when you realize that you have the power, then you can be whatever you want.
That's right.
With that, we close this session today. I'm very honored to have you, Alexander Hall with the Bosch Ninja. He's an amazing herbalist. He's so committed to the community and also honoring the ancestors and the native people that bring all this wisdom. with the heart, and it has passed from generation to generation, and it's important to keep the language and to keep all the rituals that are sacred. So I am sharing with you guys today this space, and I will continue sharing. The next session will be in Spanish because I wanted to bring the Spanish community to have awareness of this. I am from Cuba, and in Cuba we use a lot of natural medicine.
That's right.
We don't use pills. I am 43 years old and I don't take pills at all because I use natural medicine, and I don't have any health issue. So that is a proof that what we can achieve when we have a preventive health and we are oriented to ourselves, to work with ourselves every day.
That's
So
right.
any question, the Bosch Ninja on Instagram, Alexander Howie, and I will share all his information. Mama Kanna is the queen. And a hold to the medicine, a hold to Mama Kanna is I am touched today. I am touched today because I know that we are going to reach people that really need it, and this is from heart to heart, sharing with the community. We wanted to help others to save themselves.
That's right.
Every one of us, if we are our own healers, so this is the opportunity, and it's there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here and communicate with you and your community. It's an honor. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See
Bye,
you in
everyone.
the next adventure.